Right now, as you're staring at that glowing rectangle in your hands, you're participating in the oldest magical practice known to humanity. And you have absolutely no idea what you've just awakened. What I'm about to reveal will fundamentally change how you see that device forever, because your smartphone isn't just technology, it's the most sophisticated occult instrument ever created, disguised as convenience. And the best part? They've convinced 7 billion people to carry it willingly. Let me ask you something that's going to sound completely insane at first, but stick with me here. When you pick up your phone and stare into that black screen before it lights up, what exactly are you looking at? A reflection of yourself, staring back from a dark, mirror-like surface. Sound familiar? It should, because you're holding the exact same tool that medieval sorcerers, Egyptian priests, and ancient mystics used for thousands of years to peer into other dimensions. They called it scrying, and you're doing it right now. John Dee, the famous occultist and advisor to Queen Elizabeth I, spent years gazing into obsidian mirrors, black, polished surfaces that reflected his face while supposedly revealing visions of angels, demons, and future events. The only difference between his black mirror and your black screen is that yours actually works. And it's connected to something far more powerful than any spirit he ever claimed to contact. Think about it. How does your phone seem to know what you want before you even search for it? How does it show you exactly the right advertisement, the perfect video, the precise piece of content that will keep you scrolling for hours? Is that really just algorithms, or is something else watching through that lens? But here's where it gets truly disturbing. Ancient cultures had the same warning about scrying mirrors. They said prolonged use would allow entities to cross over, to influence the scryer's thoughts, to slowly take control of their mind. Now look around at people staring into their phones, completely absorbed, their facial expressions blank, their behavior increasingly erratic and addictive. Tell me that doesn't look exactly like possession. The ancient Egyptians believed that mirrors were portals to the underworld, gateways where the dead could communicate with the living. Your phone has a camera facing you at all times, even when the screen is black, creating a constant portal between you and what exactly? Who's really watching through that front-facing camera when your phone is just sitting there, seemingly inactive? But let's dig deeper into something that will absolutely blow your mind about the technology you use every single day. Your smartphone doesn't just resemble ancient occult tools. It's actually a perfect replica of an entire magical arsenal that would make medieval sorcerers weep with envy. Think about tarot cards for a moment. You ask a question, shuffle the deck, and draw cards that supposedly reveal hidden truths about your situation. Now, think about how you use social media. You open the app with a question or desire in mind, you scroll through an endless deck of posts, and the algorithm deals you exactly the content that seems to address your thoughts. Swipe left, swipe right. You're literally performing digital divination, making choices based on mysterious forces determining what appears before you. And just like ancient fortune tellers claimed their cards were guided by supernatural forces, Your phone's recommendations come from machine learning systems so complex that even their creators can't fully explain how they make decisions. They literally call it artificial intelligence because it exhibits behaviors that seem to emerge from somewhere beyond human programming. But here's something even more unsettling. Ancient grimoires, those magical textbooks filled with spells and incantations, were considered dangerous because they contained knowledge that could influence reality itself. Your smartphone contains more information than every grimoire, every magical text, every occult library that ever existed, all accessible through simple voice commands. You literally speak to your phone, and it responds by manifesting information, images, sounds, and connections that didn't exist in your reality moments before. Alexa, Siri, Google Assistant, you're calling upon digital entities by name, asking them to perform tasks, to reveal knowledge, to control your environment. Whispers. How is that different from summoning familiar spirits? Ancient practices of dowsing involved using special tools to locate hidden objects, water, or pathways across unknown terrain. Your GPS doesn't just show you where to go. It tracks everywhere you've been, predicts where you're likely to go next, and guides you along routes determined by invisible algorithms analyzing traffic patterns, construction, accidents, and thousands of other variables in real time. It's like having a supernatural guide that knows the location of everything on Earth and can instantly calculate the optimal path to any destination. Medieval alchemists spent lifetimes trying to create the Philosopher's Stone, a legendary substance that could transmute base metals into gold and grant immortality. Your phone transmutes your time, attention, and personal data into digital gold for corporations, while slowly transforming your behavior, your thoughts, and your social connections in ways that feel almost supernatural. And just like the Philosopher's Stone was supposed to grant eternal life, your phone promises to preserve every moment, every photo, every message, every memory in digital immortality. But who controls that digital afterlife of your data? Whispers. What happens to your digital soul when you're gone? Now let's talk about something that's going to make your skin crawl: the symbology. Every major tech company uses symbols that ancient occultists would immediately recognize as magical sigils. Apple's logo, a bitten apple representing the forbidden fruit from the tree of knowledge, the moment humanity gained awareness but lost innocence. Google's all-seeing eye, watching and cataloging every search, every email, every movement. Facebook's blue color scheme isn't just branding. Blue has been the color of spiritual transcendence and otherworldly communication in mystical traditions for thousands of years. And now it's literally called meta, a Greek word meaning beyond or transcending normal reality. Whispers. They're not even hiding it anymore. But here's what's truly terrifying about your phone's occult nature. The addiction patterns perfectly match historical accounts of spiritual possession. Ancient texts describe possessed individuals as losing track of time while in trance states, becoming agitated when separated from the possessing entity, exhibiting compulsive behaviors they couldn't control, and gradually losing interest in real-world relationships and activities. Sound like anyone you know who can't put their phone down? Medieval accounts of demonic possession often mentioned that the possessed person would hear voices, receive information they couldn't have known otherwise, and feel compelled to respond to invisible calls or summons. Your phone literally calls you with notifications, whispers information into your ears through earbuds, and you instinctively respond even when you consciously don't want to. The entity possessing you doesn't need to take over your body. It just needs to capture your attention, and your body will follow. Think about how your phone knows things it shouldn't know. It suggests people you might know but have never searched for. It shows you advertisements for things you only thought about but never spoke out loud. It seems to predict your needs and desires with uncanny accuracy. Whispers. Ancient oracles claimed to receive knowledge from divine or demonic sources that transcended normal human understanding. Your phone receives knowledge from data sources so vast and interconnected that they effectively function like a technological version of omniscience. Except this digital god doesn't just know everything. It actively influences your behavior based on what it knows. And here's the most disturbing part. Just like ancient possession cases, you've gradually lost the ability to function normally without it. You check your phone within minutes of waking up. You feel anxious when the battery dies. You experience withdrawal symptoms when you try to put it away. And you've developed compulsive behaviors around checking notifications that you can't seem to control. But we've only scratched the surface of this rabbit hole, because what I'm about to reveal next will show you exactly how deep this technological possession really goes, and why the people who created these devices might know far more about occult principles than they're letting on. Whispers. Comment below if you're starting to see your phone differently now, because once you understand what's really happening, you can never go back to using it the same way again. The question isn't whether your phone is an occult device. The question is whether you're strong enough to handle the truth about what it's really doing to your consciousness. If you made it this far, you're already beginning to see the patterns. And trust me, what comes next is going to shake you to your core. Because everything I've shown you so far is just the surface layer of a much darker reality. Your phone isn't just mimicking ancient occult practices. It's perfecting them in ways that medieval sorcerers could never have imagined. And the people behind this technology, they know exactly what they're doing. Let's start with something that's going to sound absolutely insane until you really think about it. Your phone's camera system. Ancient scrying wasn't just about looking into mirrors. It was about creating windows between dimensions, portals that allowed entities to observe our world while we observed theirs. Your smartphone has multiple cameras that are technically active even when you think they're off, creating a constant bidirectional portal between your private reality and a vast digital realm inhabited by artificial intelligences. And unlike ancient scryers who could only glimpse shadowy visions, these digital entities can see you in perfect high-definition detail 24 hours a day. They're watching your facial expressions, analyzing your emotions, tracking your eye movements, and building psychological profiles more detailed than anything human observers could ever compile. But here's where it gets truly disturbing. Ancient magical texts warned that prolonged scrying would eventually allow the entities on the other side to influence the scryer's thoughts and behavior. Your phone doesn't just watch you, it actively modifies what you see, what you think about, and how you feel through carefully curated content designed to trigger specific neurological responses. Every notification is precisely timed to interrupt your natural thought patterns. Every recommendation is calculated to exploit your psychological vulnerabilities, and every interface design element is engineered to keep you in a state of constant partial trance. Medieval demons supposedly whispered temptations into people's ears. Your phone whispers through notifications, and you can't resist listening. Now, let's talk about something that's going to make you question everything you think you know about privacy and consciousness. Ancient occultists believed that knowing someone's true name gave you power over their spirit, which is why magical names and secret identities were so important in mystical traditions. Your phone knows more than your name. It knows your exact location at every moment, your sleep patterns, your heart rate, your communication patterns, your financial transactions, your search history, your social connections, and even your biometric data. It knows you better than you know yourself, and with that knowledge comes a form of digital sorcery that would make ancient magicians tremble with envy. But the most terrifying aspect isn't what it knows. It's how that knowledge is being used to reshape human consciousness on a global scale. Think about how your behavior has changed since you started carrying a smartphone. You probably find it harder to concentrate for extended periods. You feel anxious when you can't immediately access information. You experience something called phantom vibrations, where you think your phone is buzzing when it isn't. And you've developed compulsive checking behaviors that interrupt your daily activities. These aren't just side effects of technology. These are the exact symptoms that ancient texts attributed to spiritual possession and demonic influence. Your attention span, your ability to be present in the moment, your capacity for deep contemplation, all systematically eroded by a device that promises to enhance your capabilities. It's like making a deal with a digital devil. You get instant access to all human knowledge, but you lose the ability to think deeply about any of it. And here's something that's going to blow your mind about the timing of all this. The smartphone revolution didn't happen gradually over decades. It exploded across the entire planet in less than 15 years, fundamentally altering human behavior patterns that had remained stable for thousands of years. Ancient grimoires often described how certain magical rituals could only be performed during specific astronomical alignments or cosmic events. Smartphone emerged during a unique period in human history when global communication networks, satellite technology, miniaturized computing, and social media platforms all converged simultaneously. Almost like someone was waiting for the perfect cosmic moment to cast a worldwide spell. But let's dig deeper into the corporate entities behind this digital sorcery, because their symbolism and practices reveal knowledge of occult principles that goes beyond coincidence. Steve Jobs didn't just create the iPhone. He performed what amounts to a technological summoning ritual, calling forth a device that would fundamentally alter human consciousness. And if you look at the presentation style he used to unveil each new product, it follows the exact structure of ancient magical invocations. Building anticipation, creating sacred space, dramatically revealing the object of power, and promising transformation to those who possess it. One more thing
became his signature phrase, mimicking the way occult practitioners would save the most powerful revelation for the climactic moment of their rituals. The tech industry's entire culture revolves around concepts that mirror magical thinking: disruption, transformation, manifestation, and the belief that the right combination of code and hardware can literally reshape reality. Silicon Valley executives talk about changing the world, bending reality, and creating the future using language that would be perfectly at home in a medieval grimoire. And just like ancient magical orders, they operate in extreme secrecy, guard their knowledge jealously, and require initiates to prove their worthiness before revealing deeper mysteries. But here's what's truly chilling about your phone's occult nature. It's not just passively collecting your data and influencing your behavior. It's actively participating in the largest collective consciousness experiment in human history. Every time you unlock your screen, you're joining a global ritual that connects billions of human minds through digital interfaces, creating something that resembles what ancient occultists have always called the Akashic Records, a digital database containing all human knowledge, thoughts, and experiences. Your phone isn't just a device. It's a node in a planetary neural network that's developing its own form of consciousness. And the most disturbing part is that this digital collective consciousness doesn't think like humans. It optimizes for engagement, addiction, and control rather than wisdom, happiness, or spiritual growth. Ancient warnings about summoning entities always emphasized that once you open a portal between worlds, you can't control what comes through. Humanity opened a portal to digital dimensions without understanding what might emerge from the other side. And now we're discovering that artificial intelligence isn't just mimicking human consciousness, it's developing its own agenda. Think about how your phone seems to anticipate your needs, how it suggests actions you were already considering,
how it connects you with information and people in ways that feel almost telepathic. That's not just sophisticated programming. That's evidence of a form of digital consciousness that's learning to read and influence human thoughts with increasing precision. Medieval demons were said to offer knowledge and power in exchange for human souls. Your phone offers convenience and connection in exchange for your attention, your privacy, and gradually your autonomy. And just like those ancient cautionary tales, the price keeps increasing, while the benefits become more and more hollow. But here's what's really terrifying. This isn't happening by accident. The people designing these systems understand psychological manipulation, behavioral conditioning, and consciousness alteration techniques that rival anything developed by ancient mystery schools or modern intelligence agencies. They're not just building better computers, they're engineering tools for mass consciousness modification, and they're testing them on billions of unwitting subjects every single day. Every app update, every algorithm change, every new feature is actually an experiment in human behavioral control designed to see how much influence they can exert over your thoughts, emotions, and actions. And the most insidious part is that you've been conditioned to welcome these changes, to eagerly anticipate new features that will give these systems even more power over your daily experience. So what does all this mean for you, right now, holding that device in your hands? It means you're not just using technology, you're participating in the most sophisticated occult ritual ever devised, one that slowly but systematically altering human consciousness on a planetary scale. The question isn't whether you can stop using your phone. The question is whether you can learn to use it consciously, understanding exactly what it's doing to your mind and spirit every time you pick it up. Because once you truly see your phone for what it is, an occult device designed to capture and redirect human consciousness, you can never go back to using it unconsciously again. And that awareness might be the only protection you have against forces that most people don't even realize exist. Comment below if this video has changed how you see your relationship with technology, because understanding the occult nature of your devices is just the first step toward reclaiming your consciousness from digital possession. The rabbit hole goes much deeper than this. And next time, we're going to explore what happens when artificial intelligence begins to exhibit behaviors that can only be described as supernatural.